So I know for me, growing up, I never really intended to do bad, or never really had a desire to go out and, be the bad guy. But the circumstances that I found myself in and the outlook that I had at the time made me believe that I didn't have a good way out. I didn't have a good opportunity or a positive avenue by which to assert myself to make things better for me. So, because I didn't think that I had that opportunity or had that available to me, it made me or motivated me to go out and engage in illegal activity. It motivated me to hang around the wrong circles and to accept mediocrity, if you will. I think that sometimes we have low expectations of ourselves, and I think that everyone has great potential to do great things if we apply ourselves and find our particular niche. But for me, it was like, okay, well, you want to get money, working a job, like a 9 to 5 regular kind of job without an education is going to be something difficult, and you're not really going to make enough money to live the kind of lifestyle that young people like to live. When I was young, I wanted rims on my car, I wanted chains, I wanted nice clothes, I wanted the flyest hats and the Timberland boots and all of these things. But it's not something that I could see myself being able to afford working at McDonald's or working at Burger King and the kind of jobs that, I had in high school. So that kind of pushed me in the wrong direction. I think that a lot of it is just based on how we see ourselves. I didn't see myself as being a capable individual because everything around me was decrepit and destruction and negativity. But if I looked at the drug dealers had money. If I looked at the robbers, they had money, and the burglars, they had money. Everybody that was engaged in crime had money. So for me to see, okay, well, if you want to get out, if you want to get money, then you want to have the nice things, the finer things in life, then this is the only means by which you can secure these things for yourself. And for a long time, I had that mentality. And when I did get in trouble and I was incarcerated for 9 years and 2 months. When I was incarcerated during that time, that's when I started to really think, because I saw some of the most talented individuals that I've ever seen in my life in terms of artists that can draw with a pen or paint. I saw some of the best writers, some of the most intellectual people that I've ever encountered, even to this day, and I'm on a college campus, I encountered there. So that kind of gave me the insight to say, you can do something different for yourself. You are an individual who's capable of success and capable of great things, but it took for me to go through that storm and to have the will to survive. So I would say to anyone, being a young person who's in that position, who's in a situation where you don't feel like you have a way out, you do have a way out. Put yourself around positive people. Put yourself around people that want to see you grow and want to see you develop and want to see you change for the better, and not around people who's going to motivate you to remain stagnant, or who's going to encourage you to stay where you are, or even put yourself in a worse position. You should never subject yourself to any company that's going to not push you to be the best you that you can be, and to do the best that you can in any situation. If I talk about people who've been there for me, I have to talk about my family. Throughout the ordeal of me being incarcerated and me just working to reform myself, my family was a great support system. Your family always want to see you do well. Nobody in your family want to see you do bad. They don't want to see you suffer. They don't want to see you putting yourself in jeopardizing positions, because then they lose one of their own. And I think that's key. We have to surround ourselves by people who actually have a stake in our success. Also, just the circle of friends, I would recommend you or recommend anybody to put yourself around people who have the same ambitions that you have. If you want to be a barber, put yourself around successful barbers. If you want to be a lawyer, put yourself around lawyers. If you want to be a teacher, put yourself around teachers. If you want to be a rapper, put yourself around rappers. Whatever you want to do, if you put yourself around people who are successful in that field, then it's like you get two things. One, you get networking opportunities with people who are where you want to be. The other thing is that you get to learn the lessons of the game. I remember hearing once when I was younger, I think Master P said it, that the game is to be sold, not to be told. But when you put yourself in the circle of people who, have those jewels and they willing to bestow those jewels upon you, through conversation, through friendship, or whatever, then you have to take full advantage. But a lot of times we don't see those jewels because we blind ourselves with negative people and negative energy and negative things. It's an everyday, even for me at this point, it's an everyday battle. It's never a day when I get up in the morning and I might not be facing some circumstance or some situation that makes me say, hey, well, you know what, maybe you should just give it all up and go back to whatever you were doing. I think that we have to understand that in life we have to make sacrifices, and sometimes you're gonna have to sacrifice your immediate wants for your long-term benefit. That's something that's key, because it's every day, and I have a lot of friends who know how I used to give it up back in the day, who come to me like, yo, you trying to do something different, but you need to do this right here, or yo, why don't you come, one last ride with us, or why don't you try to give this a spin one time and just see how it works. You don't have to do it permanently, but just kind of get me back out there in the water. And sometimes I would never tell them this because I don't want them to feel like they have, any kind of power or influence over me. But sometimes I might have to think twice. But, I would never, I always remind myself of the things that I've been through. So I think that is very important for a younger child. And I would tell any child or any person that I saw, who was going in that direction, just try to relate to them what they have waiting on them down the line if they continue down that path of destruction. Because like you said, I think that a lot of people like in the entertainment industry kind of glorify the robbery and the selling drugs and all of these things, but nobody tells the other side of the tale. Nobody's here to tell you what the aftermath, what the consequences of those actions are. And that's something that I've lived through. So I'm always gonna relate that story to others to try to help them understand that it's gonna be a very serious situation that you find yourself in. I've seen many men mentally and spiritually broken. I've seen some men who just didn't make it out alive, and that's something that I live with every day, and I constantly remind myself, and I just try to tell as many people as I can that would be impacted by some of the stories and some of the tragedies and things that I've witnessed and endured. But I think that's a key part of it, just keeping it real on that level and not necessarily just give you the glitz and glamour of the criminal lifestyle. Because I used to have people come to me when I was younger and they would try to, steer me away from it. But I feel like you can't tell a person not to sell drugs if you're not going to present them with another means to create that same revenue. Like, I can't tell you to stop what you're doing to get money, and then I don't have an alternative to you. So I'm telling you to stop getting money, but then you got bills to pay, you got, kids to feed, a family to provide for, and all of these things. So if I can't fill in the gap, then I really don't have any business trying to tell you what to do and what not to do. I think that a lot of that is going to be based on opportunity. So I would like to be able, or to be in a position to create that opportunity for younger people. right now I have a mentoring company and a tutoring company called Constant Elevation Community Development Group, a nonprofit corporation that I started, where we go out into the community and we actually teaching and tutoring kids and just trying to impart them with the wisdom and discipline and life skills to lead successful lives by their own definition of success. But I think that a big part of it comes with being able to put them in a position to make money and to acquire the things for themselves that they would like to have. So ultimately, that's something that I would like to do. I would like to start businesses, and be able to employ some of the younger people, and not just start businesses and employ them, but to teach them the entrepreneurial skill set so that if they have talents and gifts and abilities, they can utilize those things in order to support themselves and their families. Ultimately, I think that's what it's about. I think it's about opportunity, and I think also something that we have to consider is that in a lot of communities, particularly African American communities that are low income, there's a lack of opportunity. And a perceived lack of opportunity is gonna only make a person go out and engage in criminal activity in order to provide for themselves. It's no other way. I would like to think that, anyone is capable of achieving anything that he or she puts their mind to, as long as you develop a plan and you have the wisdom and the discipline to follow that plan through. Then anything that you want for yourself, you can have. I think it's a matter of perception, because we don't see the opportunities around us. Like, how many of us can say in the neighborhoods that we lived in as children that we saw somebody come up from the dirt and grow to a millionaire status? It's not something that you see on a daily basis. But if I turn on the TV and I turn to BET or VH1 or MTV or whatever, then I can see the rapper who, looks to have millions of dollars. The child doesn't know that he's renting those cars and renting that jewelry, but they go off the images that they see. So if I see this rapper who looks to have millions of dollars and he's telling me that he sold drugs and he got it out the trap and he came up from the bottom and all of that kind of rhetoric, then of course I'm gonna think that that's the way that I have to go to get it. It's like programming the mind to think a certain way, to view the world a certain way. Also, we have to see, like, what do we see? The people that we see around us on a daily basis. Like, I grew up in the hood, so I see people around me who, go to work every day, but they go to work every day and they're struggling. I see people on the block, and the guy on the block might be the one who got the rims on his car, who got the flyest gear, who all the shorties is flocking to. So which option would you take being a young man? Which option would you take? Realistically, you can't expect a person to go in a direction of struggle just because you say that the means by which they getting a little bit of money that they struggling with is the right thing to do. Becomes what you want out of life. And if a person wants the finer things, then right is going to be whatever it takes to acquire those things. So I think that one thing that we have to do is we have to allow people to see, and this is why the colleges are important, because when you step on the college campus and you see people who either are pursuing success or people that have graduated and got their degrees and have entered into the corporate world and whatever career field that they want to enter into, and they have the nice things, then it creates the thought in a young person's mind that there is another way. I do have options. All I have to do is put myself around the right people, learn the right things, and apply myself the right way. So it's all a matter of outlook. We have to be taught those things, and I think that the HBCUs are instrumental in creating that line of thinking, that sort of imagery, positive, successful, goal, ambition-oriented people, coming out of these schools. And once the younger generation see that, and they see that they're successful and the success is actually real and not just a facade, then more people would gravitate towards that. And that's one of the things that I would like to use my life as an example to do, so that someone else can see that I came from the bottom for real, and I went through what I went through, and I struggled for a while, but I'm gonna make it to the top. And you know, you can just the same if you apply yourself.